Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm back at you again with another movie review, a very, very hot ticket this award season and for the rest of this year. Of course, I am talking about Anatomy of a Fall, directed by Justine Triet, starring Sandra Hüller, Swan Arlod, Milo Machado-Graner, Antoine Reinertz, Samuel Thais, Jenny Beth, and many others. Of course, this film has gotten a lot of notoriety throughout the festival circuit, first premiering at Cannes and actually taking home the top prize of the Palme d'Or. And of course, Sandra Hüller's been putting in so much great work for the past decade or less. I mean, really, she's finally getting that international recognition that she deserves between this and The Zone of Interest. I mean, what a great year she's having, right? But regardless, this film follows this family in which the patriarch of the family, Samuel, is found lying dead on the ground after falling out of a window, and it's up to the investigators to figure out whether his wife Sandra committed this said murder. And this, obviously, as I said, you know, I was so excited for this film, as I've mentioned in other reviews past, and I did miss it at TIFF, unfortunately, because, well, one, I was trying to see Bruce Springsteen that first day of the festival, and then the concert got canceled. So by the time I was going in the next day, I only got in that Friday night, and all the screenings were done with. As I said, it was also a very hot ticket, and it sold out immediately. There were no other showings for the rest of the Toronto International Film Festival, which was quite disappointing because this was probably top 3 that I was anticipating just because of all the buzz that's gotten out of Cannes. And we look at the past few Palme d'Or winners. I'm not going to count Titan in this. That's a whole other thing. But in regards to the Oscars, you look at what they have honored with the past Palme d'Or winners, like Triangle of Sadness, which of course you remember I was not huge on, and of course the masterpiece that is Parasite, one of the greatest films of all time, I'd say already, and I don't think many people are going to debate that. So they've definitely been giving a lot of recognition to these international players that win these top prizes at film festivals, which is really huge because I think any type of cinema, wherever it comes from, should be able to have a shot at the top prize at the Academy Awards. And I absolutely think that that is the case with this film. But before I get into my review, I want to tell my story with this because I was so energized for this movie. And like I said when I saw Killers of the Flower Moon, I didn't think I was going to have a repeat of me falling asleep. But for about the first 40 minutes or so of this movie, I was really tired. And I kind of had to get up a few times, sit back down, and go back up, and kind of stand off to the side so I could get my energy level up, all that sort of stuff. And I was really concerned because I was like, the first 40 minutes of this film weren't really gripping me in the way I should. Well, maybe the first 10, but, you know, that section right after this event occurs, I really was wondering, is this film going to end up being a disappointment? And then we got to the courtroom, and I'll tell you something, by the end of this film, me and my friends just sat there through the entirety of the credits. Like, we didn't leave mid-credits. We just sat there and hardly said a word. And I thought to myself, when was the last time that ever happened? And I really could not think of an instance. Certainly not this year. And I think that should tell you how fucking good this movie is, because this film had me riveted from that point onwards, and I slowly realized how tightly constructed, how biting, how powerful, how just unbelievably emotional and complicated this courtroom drama is. I would go as far to say that Anatomy of a Fall is one of the greatest courtroom dramas of all time. I think without question. I really, really mean that, because what they do here, Justine Triet, of course, and her husband, Arthur Harari, who co-wrote the screenplay with her, really created the best screenplay of the entire year so far that I've seen. And it's just unbelievable how tightly woven all these threads are, how complicated these character interactions are. The dynamics are so intriguing, and the way information is conveyed to the audience and the people in this courtroom also makes you question every single detail that is being thrown at you. And I think that's the thing I absolutely love about this film. And of course, I mean, I have to talk about the tremendous cast in this film, which quite frankly I think is the best ensemble of the entire year. I mean, without question. And of course, I have to sing my praises for Sandra Hüller, who I think undoubtedly gives the best female lead performance I have seen in 2023. She completely commands the screen, and when you get to the very emotionally vulnerable moments that also feature so much tenacity and viscerality, she just explodes off the screen in so many different ways, kind of conveying every single gamut of the human emotion in this performance and what she is being put through in this film. Because the thing that is so great about this story, I'd like to compare it to a previous film that ended up being one of my favorites of that respective year, which is Noah Baumbach's Marriage Story. It should be called Marriage Mystery Story because it really ratchets up the tension from Marriage Story to a benevolent degree. Like, the vitriol that is found throughout the entirety of this case and surrounding the relationships of the characters in the story was beyond mind-blowing. Like, watching this all unfold and really showing it in a way that still makes the audience question who's really at fault in this relationship, and did she really murder her husband? And I think the film, though it does reach a conclusion, I still think that there's some gray area in between to kind of draw your own conclusions on what actually occurred in this situation. And of course, I have to mention real quickly, just the rest of this ensemble is amazing. Samuel Thies, who shows up in literally one scene as her husband, really gives one of the best supporting turns of the entire year. And I love how this film, it so ingeniously uses flashbacks. Like, I have not seen flashbacks used in such a intriguing way narratively in such a long time. Like, especially the one scene that he's in. Think about the scene at the end of Marriage Story between Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson, and just ratchet it up to like 10. Like, it is insane and so hard to watch, and what I think probably is the best scene in any film this year. I think without question. And you really see this dynamic play out in such an interesting way. And I also love that it's kind of told with courtroom evidence, because this essentially is an audio piece that these characters are listening to. And what I love about the script and the direction is Triet knows exactly when to cut away from it to kind of show how everyone else is reacting to it and still leave the ambiguity of what happened in that specific moment and in that situation. It is so, so brilliant. And I have to talk about Justine Triet before I get into the ensemble, or the rest of the ensemble, I should say, because, look, this may be a concern to some people this year when it comes to the Academy Awards in Best Director. There's so much work this year that is so unbelievably strong. There's a very good chance that no female filmmakers will make the Best Director nominees. And I don't think that's out of, ignorance or slight or anything like that. I just think the work that has been put out this year is really, really hard to beat. But I think if there is one female director who should get into Best Director, I think it should be Justine Triet, because the way she utilizes the camera in this film, the way she averts your eye in the courtroom, how she cuts between these characters and really kind of narrows in on what they're feeling and their emotions, in the way like she'll focus on something and then kind of move it in a very handheld way that sort of catches you off guard. and kind of keep you paying attention to the entirety of each single fluid track is really, really interesting from a directorial standpoint. And I just think that this movie is so strong in its performances and everything that I've said that I think a Best Director nomination is more than warranted. I'm going to be rooting for her come this award season. For the one to really get in there and get that nomination. I'm not saying that she should go all the way to the win quite yet, but I do think that she is more than deserving of a nomination. But just some of the performances I have to talk about as being the standouts. Antoine Reinert's as the prosecutor for her husband is so biting and scathing. Every single defense he comes up with is just unbelievably harsh, intense, but it's so gripping the way he delivers this dialogue. And also Swan Arlod, as well as her attorney, is really, really great and has a very interesting dynamic with Sandra and her character. There's kind of something there in this connection between them, and I think that really strengthens this narrative as well, and a very, very interesting thread nonetheless. But to me, Miles Machado-Graner gives what I think is easily the best supporting performance of the year as the son of their family. And what he is given in this film is absolutely unbelievable. I think he is one of the smartest kids I have ever seen in any movie. And just the profound insight that his character has in his dynamic with his parents and in the situation at hand. And I think it's beautifully layered throughout the screenplay as slowly as the film kind of starts to focus on him and what he means in this particular circumstance. I think he is given some of the best emotional moments of the entire year and has given some scenes to really chew on. And I know he's like 11 or 12 years old, but I really do not understand how nobody is talking about this kid for Best Supporting Actor. I would go as far to say that he should win. I really think this kid is absolutely incredible, and I cannot wait to see what he does next. This could be a very, very surprise nomination, but I do think it's highly unlikely. As much as he deserves it more than everybody else, he is absolutely mind-blowingly good. I absolutely love the work he does in this film, and just the chemistry between all these actors, whether positive or negative within the narrative of the story, really ties this whole thing together, because you get so many great moments of emotional catharsis between these characters, and also just the trial itself. And why I think this is so interesting in a different light than something like A Marriage Story is how, like, Marriage Story, it's a very, very personal narrative, and the vitriol that's being thrown around is really kind of based between two people. But Sandra is a public figure. She's an author in this film. And this whole situation is being aired out to literally everybody. Because the thing is, every single detail of her life is being scrutinized and villainized. And the fact that the way she reacts to certain things, where she doesn't give the whole truth, it really makes you wonder, like, what is her true intention here? What really happened? And that's what I love about this, especially in the scene between her and Samuel. Because really, you could put the blame on either one of them. Like, these are very, very flawed individuals, and you really, there's so much nuance in the screenplay that would make you believe that I don't know who's really feeling what right now and what I should truly believe. And I love it when a script makes you guess to that degree, but also just the implications of this on her career and her personal life, because even if she does win this case, she still loses everything. And I think that's so incredibly profound of a message and of a character predicament to put your protagonist into. I absolutely, yet again, it's so amazing what she does in this film. All the pain that is built up throughout this trial and the burdens that are placed upon her shoulders are so paramount, in a sense that it's just unbelievably portrayed and executed from top to bottom, and I just think the way this narrative moves is so incredibly surprising, gratifying, subversive, but also, you know, in so many ways feels right. You know, like, because you have many films that just subvert expectations for expectations' sake, but this really does feel right for these characters and the story, and there's so many quiet moments between characters that really elevate this above just another courtroom drama. This film is absolutely riveting. I think this should absolutely get into Best Picture. I really don't see how it can miss. Sandra Hüller, of course, is going to get nominated for Best Actress, and also keep in mind, she's speaking 3 different languages in this film: English, French, and German. So, I mean, come on, how much more of a multifaceted performance can you get than Sandra Hüller in this? And of course, I definitely think that this is a shoo-in for screenplay. I personally think it should win. I don't know if it's going to go all the way, but it certainly is deserving of an Academy Award winning script to add to its moniker on the many accolades that is already received. Yet again, I mean, the fact that I was falling asleep and I am talking about this film so enthusiastically should tell you a lot, because really my only problem with it is I think it starts off a little bit too slow, but I'm very much willing to go back and revisit this one, and am planning on doing so, just because I need to see this film again, because it is an absolutely tremendous achievement on all fronts, and I'm going to give Anatomy of a Fall a 9.5 out of 10. This is one of the absolute best films of the year. You cannot miss this one, because this really is an achievement like no other that I've seen this year. Monumental in every single sense of the word, more than deserving of the Palme d'Or. I think I've seen all the big movies that premiered at the festival, and it is by far the best one. I am so surprised in a very pleasant way that I ended up loving this movie in the way that I did. But you guys should absolutely go check it out ASAP. As soon as you see it come to your theaters, please go flock your way and see this absolutely incredible piece of cinema. So yeah, guys, that is my review of Anatomy of a Fall. What did you think of Anatomy of a Fall? If you saw it at Cannes, if you saw it at TIFF, if you saw it in theaters, would love to hear what you think. And of course, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Going to be more reviews like this, actually one very closely related, because apparently October is the time of year that we get a lot of great courtroom dramas. I don't know, but I do want to talk about, for my next review, The Caine Mutiny Marshall, the last film from the late, great William Friedkin. Be on the lookout for that review very soon, and yeah, I'm just so beyond excited for what the rest of this year has to offer, and me sharing my thoughts on these films with you guys. So yeah, guys, until the next video, you have yourselves a good one and take it easy.